Welcome to another episode of More Than a Few Words, the video version. This is Lorraine Ball.
I'm Sam Von Toll. How are you guys doing this morning? Talking to the camera.
Yeah, talk to the camera and our vast community out
Exactly.
there. Yeah. This morning, we're talking about one of our favorite subjects at Round Peg. We're talking about animals.
Yeah, we're talking about animals. There's kind of this conversation starting trick, asking someone what their spirit animal is. And what that really means is not so much like when you die you're going to be reincarnated by an animal or whatever, but it's more of a, what animal do you identify with? What attributes in other animals do you kind of find in yourself? I get a lot of people telling me my spirit animal is a golden retriever.
Yeah.
Which seems to be kind of dead on, but it's a fun way to kind of get a conversation going, break the ice. But you can also learn a lot about someone by what they kind of identify with as their spirit animal.
Absolutely. I've always kind of identified with the fox. I like the smart, agile, quick is sort of my style.
Mm-hmm.
But more than your personal spirit animal, we think businesses have spirit animals too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you actually wrote a blog post, and there'll be a link in the recording today, but let's talk about some of those spirit animals that we see in businesses.
Yeah, so you can go down a rabbit hole and pick apart
Literally.
and pick apart a million different animals. I kind of broke it down into 4 different animals, and you kind of start with the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
A business that a mouse is very timid, maybe stuck in their old ways. They don't have a blog, their website's very out of date, they don't really send out any emails, and they're kind of just content to sit and hide and kind of do things the way they've always been and not really try anything new.
And I think part of the challenge with the mouse is that, mice live on scraps. And businesses that are afraid to try anything new are going to relegate themselves to being limited to scraps.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of going from there, there's the turtle. And the turtle's a little more bold than the mouse. They've gone to a couple classes, some webinars, they have a Facebook page, they have an email list, their website's okay. The problem with the turtle is they don't really do a whole lot. Their growth and their embracing of new things is very slow, and maybe that's timidness inside the organization. Maybe there's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of hoops to jump through getting stuff done. But at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, they're willing to just kind of hide in their shell. Mm-hmm. and do kind of the same mundane things.
And so they maybe are making slow progress. They're taking baby steps, but it seems like they create a blog and then they pull back and don't write very much. And then they create an email and then they pull back and don't write very much. And the challenge with that start-stop is you don't get that momentum, you don't get that forward progress.
Yeah, it's kind of the 1 step forward, 2 steps back kind of thing.
So on the opposite end of the turtle and the mouse that are either afraid to change or just want to slow it down, we have the squirrel.
The squirrel. And listen, folks, there is such a thing as doing too much. It may feel like, I need to be doing a lot and do everything, and I need to be on Facebook, and I need to be on LinkedIn, I need to be on Instagram, and I need to send a million emails. And sometimes you got to pick your battles. Mm-hmm. You can spread yourself too thin, and you can find yourself doing things that aren't really on brand. What's great on Facebook may not work the same on LinkedIn, and maybe you don't need to be on Instagram after all. So that's kind of what the squirrel is someone that's a little overeager, and they want to try all these different things, but they may not be taking the time to really realize, are what we doing, it is what we do, it's what we are doing, working. Yeah, it's Monday. I've had 1 cup of coffee, that's about the breaks a little bit.
I think that for entrepreneurs, the squirrel syndrome is probably the one that we deal with the most, because there are all these new things, and particularly right now where the world seems to be changing so quickly and you feel like you constantly have to be running to catch up. And I think it's okay to say, you know what, we're going to go after that and not go after this. And those nuts will be there next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the lion.
Yeah, the top of the food chain, predictably is the lion. And, the lion kind of does everything that everyone else does kind of wrong. The lion has a strength in, they try new things, but they're also careful and look at the data and they're not afraid of saying, hey, this isn't working, let's try something else. They send an appropriate amount of email newsletters. They fine-tuned and found the right content for each of their social media platforms. They blog regularly. Their site is strong. You know, it might be a year or two old, but it's still a good site. Or it could be brand new, even better.
I think, you know, part of the lion is they are great hunters and they stalk their prey. And so there is a certain amount of observation that is built into their decision making that is not guided by fear, it's guided by strength. We can chase this or we can chase this, but that's the best prey for us. And so I think when you get to that spirit animal lion status, you're strong enough and comfortable enough to say, this is what we're going to do and this is what we're not.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the big question is, what's your spirit animal?
We would love to hear from you. So if you've got a spirit animal, personally or business-wise, go ahead and share it in the comments, and we'll see you next week.